jobs keep getting jobs. Don't worry about it. I'm going to say, I can't wait to sing it. I love it. I love it. Go.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the NotBland Show. And I'm your host, Dujane Bland. And go right ahead, like, share, and if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead to the NotBland Show and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Of course, you know we are brought to you by SportsJourney.com and Everything Nitro, and we are sponsored by Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. Had a really cool weekend of drag racing here in Bradenton. The start of the winter shootout there. It's going to be fun. That series is going to be fun. Pro mods, door cars. If you didn't catch it, go back and catch it. I know I didn't. I had a lot of football going on, and that's why we're talking about it today. We're going to try to talk about the college football playoff here as we get into this new form of playoffs. It's interesting. I think it brings a new pizzazz to the college football, run to the national championship. And we'll talk with Elon Warner about that and how this whole process went down, what he thought of the process, and I'll share my thoughts on that as well. Was Alabama snubbed or not? And what we expect, who we think might win. Thank you, Memphis Lonnie, for tuning in. I appreciate it. And we're going to talk some NFL football. I'm going to give you guys some insight on the Week 15 playoff scenarios. Also going to take a look at some of the bubble teams, which there's really not that many bubble teams in the NFL. I'm just going to point blank tell you. Maybe one or two. Those really come down to them winning the division. The likelihood, if they don't win a division, and them getting one of the wild card spots, very unlikely. So it's going to be a fun playoffs, though, with the NFL. Good teams playing very well in that top 7. All those teams are playing very well, kind of hitting their stride right at the right time. So we'll take a quick break. We'll give you a word from our sponsor. Of course, if you haven't signed up already, I don't know what you're waiting for, but the 2025 season is right around the corner, and it's going to be fun. We're going to have Elon on later this year to talk about what's going on in 2025 and what you guys can look forward to. But here it is. This is how you do it.
Drag racing fans, check out Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's the free, family-friendly fantasy bracket game. Now, after final qualifying at every national event, you can fill out your bracket for all the pro classes.
It's free, easy to click on your picks. If you need some help, just hit the randomizer button to fill in the blanks. It's for fun, stay engaged, and pick your winners today.
Without further ado, we'll have our guest, Elon Warner. What's going on, baby? How you doing?
Hey, man. Dujane, I am in the darkest hotel room in Indianapolis right now.
Yeah, man.
I don't know if you can tell, but
where's the lights?
There's like one crummy lamp in the corner. And I called down to the front desk and was like, hey, can you send a lamp up here? Because I'm trying to work. I mean, I'm trying to
exactly.
I feel like Abraham Lincoln in a log cabin trying to write by candlelight.
Oh, man. You are not in a Holiday Inn Express.
No, I'm at a sweet Hilton Garden Inn right around the corner from the convention center in downtown Indy.
It should be better than that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's nuts. Yeah. So, but college football, baby.
Man, it's incredible. in this whole race up to the end to get this final 12, people say there was controversy. I don't think there was any controversy. Alabama gets left out in this 12. I felt like they should have never even been in the top 12 for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe. This was definitely the right move.
I agree. And jumping back a little bit, I think to me, there was there was some discussion about how expanding to 12 teams would make the regular season not matter. I think we've completely debunked that when that, to me, there were games that no one would have cared about the Arizona State, Iowa State game if there wasn't a college football playoff. No offense to those guys. I mean, but that to me created even more impact on every regular season game. And the fact that, I think there should always be a value on, I was worried that Alabama might sneak in.
Me too.
But
me too.
I hope that now, it doesn't have to be hard and fast rule. I think everybody tries to think that the people on the committee, if they did one thing last year, they have to do it this year. No, it can be fluid. It can be 1 year you can say, we are valuing conference championship games.
Which they should be.
I mean, those are the two best teams in a conference, and you shouldn't be penalized if, based on how your deal works out. Now, but to me, I feel like it worked out nearly perfectly. I love that SMU got in.
Me too.
Now, I will be honest. I was watching that SMU game. They tie it up with 18 seconds left, and I got up to go to the bathroom because I'm thinking I can watch overtime.
Right.
Go to the bathroom, and as I'm walking back into my living room, I'm watching that kid from Clemson kick a 54-yard field goal, and I'm like, "What?
No way!
What just happened?"
Yeah.
And I literally had to go, and then they just go right into post game, and there was like no. So I had to go to Twitter to see the long kickoff return.
Right.
And then the one completion. And then, this is why I love college sports. The walk-off field goal for these kids, to me, is spectacular.
It is. It's huge.
That to me is right up there with Steve Kerr game championship shot, John Paxson, Michael Jordan. Like I was at the Armed Forces Bowl 2 years ago, and it was Army against I don't even know who. Oh, it was Army against Missouri because that's why I was there. And the Army kid kicked a 47-yard field goal to win the game at regulation. And I was there rooting for Mizzou, but I was like, come on, how can you not be excited about this cadet who now is just set? He's literally won the game for Army. So I love the matchups too in this year's playoff.
Me too.
I think they're going to be really good games, and it's going to be awesome to see.
Yeah, I with Alabama, it was the two losses. You had the Oklahoma loss, which was a horrific loss.
That one killed them.
And that really, they should have never been sitting at 11. If it was any other team, they'd have been sitting on the outside.
Correct.
For sure.
I think so too.
And I was a little nervous about them being put in, but the right decision was made. I do like how this all played out. I do think those decisions should be fluid. They don't need to be stringent. The strength of schedule thing, people are talking about, well, the strength of schedule now doesn't matter. You can play cupcake games. Well,
they're already doing that.
Yeah. And look at Alabama's schedule. What they had, their toughest games are in the SEC. Their back half was a bunch of jobbers.
They played like Mercer. No offense to Mercer and schools but they are not, if it's just one of those things where they're not stacking their non-conference schedule with Ohio State and Notre Dame,
right,
and USC,
right. And Georgia had a gauntlet.
Yeah. So I think, I love the fact that you're going to get, I have question marks about Indiana. I just,
I do too. They seem to be. They could go either way.
Yeah.
I do think Notre Dame is a little bit better in that regard. You look at just the history of what they do. I think they're probably a little bit more physical team. With that said, though, on that side of the bracket, I think Georgia has an easier road to get to that national championship game, at least to get to the semi.
Yes.
Because I don't think either one of those teams, regardless of what quarterback is there, which I think Stockton is better, they're going to get to that. They're going to beat that team.
Yeah, and I think knowing that Stockton's probably going to be your guy, he will get the reps and he'll be in a much better situation. I mean, I felt like at the end of that Georgia game that I would have liked the over and under on how many 2-point conversion plays that guy's run in the last month.
Right. Yeah.
And no matter what that number is, I would have taken the under.
Yes. I don't think they got but I think you have to look at their losses though.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the committee was looking at.
Yep.
The losses and how bad they were and what those teams looked like. And I think those are the same decisions that decided Alabama's fate.
Yeah.
We got Scott in the building. What's going on, man? How you doing? Nice to see you here. Appreciate it. We know the all famous Bobby Bennett. I mean, if you guys don't know this guy, I don't know. You're living under a rock, brother.
Yeah. He is South Carolina to the core. So I will say I've worked a number of national championship games. If Clemson does figure out a way to get to the national championship game, that would be fantastic because their media travels.
They do.
And they are fun.
They do. I think Clemson has a really big shot against Texas, who I really don't believe Texas is as good as they were in the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
it's the quarterback.
It just depends on which viewer shows up.
Yes, it's the quarterback play.
If he gets rolling early, it's Katie bar the door. And that's the thing that's so funny is, like, you look at that top half of the bracket. I mean, you got a lot of blue bloods in that first round. Ohio State gets Tennessee, and then Texas and Clemson. Those guys in the next round. I've not seen Oregon play this year, but I've seen them play in previous years, and they're like a buzzsaw. It seems like. Yeah,
I have, and they played. I mean, they put it on Penn State, but I mean, it's not like they. I thought that Penn State kind of held their own a little bit, but I also don't know if they've played those hard-nosed teams that just want to, they're going to stop your air raid and they're going to make you grind it out on the ground. And I think if they get grounded, they get taken out of the air and they get grounded, I think there's a big problem for them.
How funny was just the juxtaposition of Oregon playing Penn State, a team that has probably had 1,000 different uniforms this season against a team that hasn't changed their uniform in 50 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and they'll probably have another combo.
Right. Yeah. And just their style of play. I mean, Penn State they're just going to grind it out, and Oregon is just going to air it out. Yeah. So I love these. I love these matchups, and I think I have a friend that's a big SMU guy, and he's already posted. I guess SMU played Penn State like 42 years ago, and they're looking for payback from 42 years. So
I think that's going to be a good one. That's probably, I think, is one of the best games in the first round. I don't know how well Tennessee holds up against Ohio State.
Man, I don't know.
That's a tough draw. That's a very tough draw.
That is a tough draw, and I am looking forward watching Arizona State play. I think they're having a Cinderella season, and I can't wait to either Texas or Clemson. That game I think is going to be spectacular.
Yeah. They got a lot to play for, and I like these types of stories because these are the types of teams that they've gotten hot. They played very well. They understand what's at stake, and they bring a different level of energy to the game that sometimes these other teams just simply aren't prepared for.
Right.
And they may not play the best game as a whole for the entire 4 quarters, but they play well enough in the first half that they've pretty much put you in the dirt, and it's going to be difficult at the end for you to win because they put up so much in the first half.
And the fact that they were picked to finish last in their conference, that just makes me this, that's like on the poster board in their locker room, when that came out, and then how well they did. But I think just going through the matchups, I think you're right that Georgia probably has the easiest path possibly to a national championship game. And that will drive me a little bonkers because Kirby Smart kind of drives me a little nuts. Although I do like the fact that on that stage, he just basically called out the SEC commissioner on the stage.
Yes.
I'm like, lean into it, Kirby. Lean into it.
But you know what? I don't think they are primed to win. And that I'm a Georgia fan. I just don't. They've gotten fortunate to be where they are at the moment. They're going to have a time, whether they make it to the semifinals or the finals. I think those 2 games are going to be very tough for them. And there are a lot of mistakes that they have gotten away with a lot this season to be where they are. And I don't think you can get away with those, or you will get away with those mistakes.
That Georgia Tech bullet they dodged is huge.
Yes. Huge. Georgia Tech was balling, though. They definitely were balling. And I think they're a program on the up and up, too.
I agree. Yeah.
And Tennessee, yes, you're right, Scott. Tennessee, I think if they run the ball, will have a really good chance. That's going to be the way to kind of slow down that Ohio State. Time of possession, baby.
Correct. They're going to have to dominate the time of possession because Ohio State just has so many weapons that they can just get out there and just, you're going to need to keep them off the field. And I think that's the same thing with SMU.
Yeah.
I think SMU is going to need – they have quick strike capabilities. That wide receiver they have and their quarterback, they're studs. But I don't know that they can get into a slugfest with Penn State and hold up.
Yeah. I don't think they want a shootout. They definitely don't want a shootout.
No.
Who you got advancing out of this first round?
I will take – I think Ohio State handles Tennessee. I really don't know on this Texas-Clemson game. I could go either way, but I'll probably take – if the right Clint viewer shows up, I'll give me Texas. I'm going to go with my heart and give me SMU over Penn State. And my wife will hate me, but I'm going to take the Irish at home. Because I just think Irish, SMU, Texas, and Ohio State, those are – and then I'll be honest. I could see if SMU beats Penn State, I could see them handling Boise State. That's a great matchup for them.
It is. It really is. And I think they have a leg up on Boise State. I really do. I think that they could find themselves in the semi really easily. I'm taking Penn State. I'm taking Notre Dame. I'm going to take Clemson over Texas, and I'm going to take Tennessee over Ohio State.
See? And the thing that I also love is it's a very good smattering of all the conferences.
It really is. It really is.
You can also – all these guys are like, well, Texas really isn't part of the SEC. They were Big 12. And then Arizona State was Pac-12 or whatever. I don't care. I think you just have good representation. Bobby just bringing the knowledge. Okay.
Sometimes this whole process isn't perfect.
Yes.
And I think they'll refine it, especially after this year. They'll refine it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And they'll have more of a criteria, because I do think out of all of it with this whole process, I think there needs to be some hard criteria that you're judging these teams off of, because we obviously are making these championship games. We're elevating those and we're making those important. You also, those teams that are runner up in those championship games with their records shouldn't be penalized for losing in the championship game, because that doesn't count. That's not the regular season.
Yeah.
But then you have to take and look at their season, how they got to this point. And when you start looking at other people's, records and where they lost and versus these other teams, I think sometimes you have to take those conference runner-ups. They got there for a reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think you have to do that. Now, does that create a problem where, it kind of leaves some teams out because you're at least, that's going to take up 4 more spots? Maybe.
Yeah.
But I think at this point right now, I think they did a good job with handling it. But there does need to be some hard criteria so that there's something to base it off of, and that these teams know what they're getting into as well. It can't be a ho-hum every year. No one knows how they're going to judge this thing.
But the main thing that these guys can do is win their games. I mean,
that's it.
No, and I think, I see Scott weighs in on the championship game.
Yep.
I'll tell you why they play the championship game, Scott, is because those conferences make millions of dollars. Conference game, like that SEC championship game, it's basically has all the elements of the national championship game. It has the fan experience. It's packed. I mean, I bet, we're back in Atlanta for the national championship game this year. It will look exactly the same. I mean, that's the deal.
Yeah.
But, and I like, I like the championship, because unless you're just going to dump everybody into one conference, which I hate that idea, you got to have something to go for. And I had a discussion with a guy about the rankings, and I mean, he was like, well, the way they do it in the NFL. And I was like, whoa. NFL is even worse.
It is. I
mean, you look at the AFC West, there's teams that they're leading the conference leaders at 7-5, and then 6-6 and 6-6 and 5-7. Anyone could win that division and get a spot in the playoffs. And you look at the AFC North, and there's teams that, are killing everybody. So
they really are.
No system is perfect, but I really feel like the 12 teams we have right now are 12 exciting college football teams that really are, I think, the cream of the crop, and we're going to get some great games over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Before you get out of here, this is a good question from Andrew. Quick thoughts on the portal and NIL.
I am leaning more towards not liking the portal, and I love NIL. I think that it still needs to be refined a little bit, but I think it'll eventually find a level where players will get compensated in an appropriate fashion. And I feel like the portal, you should have limited portal opportunities. Like these guys that I feel like, and they may be, and I don't know the portal rules, but I feel like guys that I'm seeing 8-year seniors that are playing for 5 different teams because they're just not liking their situation.
Yeah.
Give me the Tom Brady model. Give me anyone that goes to Alabama. Okay.
Right.
You don't get to play. You have to put in the time and grind it out. And it just doesn't happen overnight.
It doesn't. It really doesn't.
The portal takes that opportunity off the table. Okay. I don't feel like I'm getting enough playing time. I'm just going to go in the portal and someone's going to pick me up. Well, no, that just makes a bunch of candy asses.
It does. And I'm going to tell you, this is the thing that's going to kill this whole thing and kind of slow it down a little bit, Andrew. So there will be a roster limit. You can have about 105 or so players right now. It will be a hard 85. So you can't be stashing people on your roster for years, several years, thinking, stashing these guys and then bringing them up. No. You got 85 players. This is going to improve college football as a whole. We're talking D2 ball, D3 ball.
Yeah.
These guys got to have somewhere to go now. And I live in an area where our D2 school here, Valdosta State, is on its way to another natty. And they are winners. They are in the playoffs quite regular. Now, you add these players that cannot be at D1 because of the roster limits, and now you filter these things down to D2 ball, that just elevates it even more. Makes the conferences more tough. There's more talent pool. Now you've got 2 divisions of great football, and it makes these scouts have to really work because the talent ain't always going to be at D1. And I think that will kill a lot of portal movement because now guys have more places to play, and then it elevates D2 ball because now you still have people try to discredit the talent in this division, but it is good, but it's going to get a lot better. It's going to get a lot better with these roster limits, and I think that's great for college football.
Yeah, and I'll throw my last little deal is there. Keep an eye on how many colleges now start hiring general managers. Andrew Luck just got hired at Stanford because they're going to need them.
They need them.
They're going to need someone that's in that office that just keeps track of where players are. And
we all are, Scott. We all are.
Yeah. Okay, and Scott, I appreciate you looking forward to Bracket Bonanza 2025. I'm also excited to see I'm in like 5 different college football brackets too.
Yeah.
So now my bracket addiction is getting taken care of. But yeah, 2025, we got some cool things going on. We're going to try to get more tracks involved, but it will happen. We'll have similar prizes, but we'll be up and running. And for everybody, I'll address. We did a survey. Tons of people. I love that people are excited about Bracket Bonanza and want to have it like at the Pro Superstar Shootout or want to have it at the Winter Series.
That's hard.
Would love to do that, but they do that chip draw, so you don't have bracket stability.
Yep.
And everybody that I would love to do Pro Mod. But there's a lot of times that Pro Mod goes Saturday qualifying session right into first round of eliminations on Saturday night. So there's not enough time to fill out the brackets.
Yeah.
So would love to do it, but it's got to kind of balance out where you got to have the time to do it and the stability to do it. So, but that's we're excited about 2025. It's going to be awesome. We learned some things going for a full season that we're going to try to, just make it easier for players, make it fun, and just have it be really cool again. And I appreciate everybody playing.
Yeah, it's been a blast, and I've been proud to carry the banner. And I appreciate it.
We'll do it again next year too, DJ. So
I appreciate.
I will say we sent a prize to Finland. We had a winner.
Wow.
In Finland.
Now that's great.
It blows my mind that there's people literally playing Bracket Bonanza around the world.
Yeah, it is awesome, and the traction it's getting, the love that it's getting, the talk on Twitter is amazing. Loving every bit of it, and we can have shows about it, so it's great. Exactly. It's awesome. Awesome. Well, Elon, thank you so much, and we'll have you back on to talk about all the new things that are going to be going on with Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. I'll let you get back to work for PRI. You're pumping out stuff left and right. My email's pinging.
And there's some more stuff. There's some exciting news coming out. Friday, there's the funny car classes. The funny car class will be the talk of Friday.
It's gonna be fun.
Putting it out
I'm
there.
looking forward to it, man.
It's gonna be awesome. All right, dude.
It's gonna be a blast.
Hey, thanks very much, man. I'll talk to you later.
No problem. Thank you. Either Warner, everybody. And yeah, man, look forward to this college football season. It's going to be fun. Let's see. What did you say? What are your thoughts on all the qualifying just to do a chip draw? I don't mind it. It's different. And I don't mind people stepping outside of the box to do something different. Does it make qualifying pointless? I guess. But I think the higher quality, I haven't really watched too many chip draws, but I think the higher qualified car gets to draw the chip. So I guess there's a reward in that. So you don't have to be the guy or girl worrying about who you're going to draw, or who's going to draw you. You know, you kind of have you don't have control, but you have the ability to kind of swirl around in there and grab your chip. And if you draw the wrong one, it's your fault. And you also don't want to qualify too low because you don't want to get a bad draw at the top of the ladder either. You know, there's a lot that goes into it. Would I want it for everything, Andrew? Absolutely not. No. Well, let's get out of here on the break. And when we come back, we'll talk a little NFL, and I'll give you some insight on Week 15 in the playoff possibilities. Well, Talking Funny Cars with Buddy Hall will be coming back in 2025. Their guest list, I think, is going to be phenomenal. They're actually asking and putting out questions of who you would like to see on Talking Funny Cars with Buddy Hall in 2025. So put your name of who you think should be there in the hat. You can do that on their Twitter. I believe they have Facebook and Instagram. So go ahead and do that. This NFL season, it's been a ride. And if you're a fan of any of these teams, especially the teams from 3 to 7 in this playoff hunt, that if the playoffs were to end today, they would be in. A lot of these teams haven't been so consistent. We've seen a lot of teams up and down from week to week. We're seeing it across the league with teams playing, and you think they're the sure winner, and they don't win, and they lose badly. It's been an interesting season. I don't know whether it's to the parity of the league or what, but it is not good for fans, but it's good for people who just love watching the NFL as a whole, because it makes these games competitive. I mean, look at what the Carolina Panthers have done here in this latter part of the season after bringing Bryce Young back off of the bench, which I was critical of, but it looks like it's paid off because Bryce got to work and is now this team is going toe-to-toe with the reigning defending Kansas City Chiefs, almost beating them. Really gave the Eagles a run for their money, who I don't think the Eagles are who we think they are. And they're going to be a tough out now. Anybody playing them left that has them left in this season is going to be a tough out. They're not a Huckleberry anymore. You better bring your A game or you're going to be served up an L. Here, if the playoffs ended today, we'll start with the NFC. This would be your playoff contenders. The Lions would be number 1, first round bye, along with the Eagles. Lions 12-1, Eagles 11-2. The Seahawks would be the 3rd seed, followed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who we'll talk about here in a little bit. As the 4th seed, the Minnesota Vikings would be the 5th seed at 11-2. The Packers would be the 6th seed at 9-4. And the Washington football team, a.k.a. Commanders, would be your 7th seed at 8-5. Second in NFC East. Your bubble teams, Los Angeles Rams, the Atlanta Falcons, the Cardinals, 49ers, Saints, Cowboys, Bears. Look, anything below 10, if you're 6-7, I'll give you a fighting shot. Outside of that, no. The Saints don't stand a chance. The Cowboys don't stand a chance. The Bears don't stand a chance. The Panthers don't stand a chance. In the AFC, it is the Chiefs at number 1 at 12-1. They've had a lot of close games. I just chalk it up to Pat Mahomes. And I will agree with you guys. there are some really busted calls that are missed and just so happen to be missed with the Kansas City Chiefs. Me being a Chargers fan, watching that game and watching their right tackle move before the ball is snapped very clearly and no one say anything about it. Yeah, they get some freebies. Your Bills are second at 10-3, followed by the Steelers at 10-3, Texans at 8-5, the Baltimore Ravens at 5th at 8-5, the Los Angeles Chargers 8-5 and 6th, and the Denver Broncos would be the 7th seed at 8-5. Colts, Dolphins, Bengals. Bengals don't stand a chance, like a 20%. They're actually currently at a 3% chance of making the playoffs. 13% chance for the Dolphins, 27% chance for the Colts. I don't see it happening for none of those teams. I think your AFC ladder is locked. Now we'll go back to the NFC, and with your bubble teams, we'll look at the Los Angeles Rams. Now, they stole one from Buffalo, and Matthew Stafford was cooking. Played a hell of a game, put up the points necessary against Josh Allen to win that fight against Josh Allen, a guy who I think is second to Pat Mahomes in the fact that if you give him and leave too much time on the clock, he's going to find a way to beat you at the end if he has the ball in his hands. And the Rams were able to put that away, did an excellent job of doing so, and got that win. Now, their next 4 opponents are the San Francisco 49ers, who they will face this week in Week 15, the New York Jets, the Arizona Cardinals, and their last game will be against the Seattle Seahawks, who are quietly having a good job. They're running the ball well. Gino is making less mistakes, and that's always a good thing. The Falcons, who are still in this thing, and the only reason why the Falcons are still alive is because they own the tiebreaker to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are now your division leaders because they are now 7-6. And Kirk Cousins once again pisses down his leg, and the Falcons fall again for a third straight loss to 6-7. Now, all the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have to do is keep pace. That's continue to win games and stay one game ahead, and don't allow this thing to be a tie. Bobby Bennett says the Bucs throttle the Eagles. Bet Detroit. Yeah, I do. Detroit is tough. Dan Campbell biting kneecaps. The tackle false start against, they've been getting calls all year, Bobby. Getting calls all year. Memphis Lonnie says, I enjoy you in Urban Sports evaluation of the NFC South the other day. Thank you. And you guys can go see that right here on the NotBland Show channel. As you guys know, I cover the NFC South. This is going to be very tough for the Falcons. They have the Raiders next, and should be a game that's a gimme, right? They are clearly talented. They run the ball very effectively, but it's these ill-advised turnovers. The first interception, which I wish I had a clip. I don't want to get my feed locked, because even though they give us the ability to have the all 22, the coaches tape, apparently certain teams don't like us using the coaches tape. It's not the league, it's the teams. So I avoided putting that up for the Falcons. Haven't really had a problem with that with them, but sorry about that. But that interception was clear that Drake London, there was a miscommunication or what have you, but there was a clear line of sight for Kirk to see that Drake did not have his back, did not turn around, had his back turned, and the defender was right there eyeballing him, and he threw it anyway. Now, I do believe because Kirk is having a hard time moving out of the pocket, because of that Achilles. He's not nearly as nimble as he once was in Minnesota. That pocket is collapsing in so many different ways. Sometimes it's the guards that are not doing a good job of setting the anchor in the middle, and it gets pushed back in his face. He's trying to throw the ball, get it out of there. Sometimes he gets hit, and it's picked. Then there's the tackles, not being consistent, not setting the edge, allowing guys to just bowl over him, bull rush him right into Kirk. He gets hit, gets bumped into as he's throwing, comes up short, gets picked off. But he also is not playing well. A lot of misreads. And up until this last game, a lot of drop balls from their wide receivers. Mooney, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, I don't know where he's at. I don't even know if he knows where he's at. Hasn't been effective at all. They haven't used him well, but when they have gone to him, I don't know. It's like he's lost out there. They have the Giants after that, and they have the Commanders, Panthers. When you look at how the Falcons have been playing, I don't know. I don't know if they can win 3 out of these 4. They're definitely not winning 4 out of these 4 because I think the Commanders are better than them and will beat them. Raiders, not sure. I don't believe in their quarterback play. They're not consistent enough. The Giants, they're a dumpster fire. They should beat them, but, the Saints were in a dogfight, a team that played well a couple weeks ago and put up some points, and we're in a dogfight with the Giants. And the Panthers, you can't tell because they're coming in and they're pretty much kicking folks in the balls and hoping that if they can repeatedly do that at the end, you'll just be cowered over and they'll beat you by a couple points. So there are no gimmies for the Falcons. I believe the Buccaneers have the Los Angeles Chargers to play next. That's going to be a game that they're going to have to win. They need to win. I'd say they need to win out if they want to guarantee, because there's only one team coming from the NFC South, and that's going to be the division winner. So that's going to be that. Over there, when we look at the top half of this thing, the Seahawks are playing some pretty good ball. Vikings are playing pretty good ball with Sam Darnold, finding rhythm. They're running the ball effectively, and they're getting the explosive plays. And those explosive plays are very important when you look at a guy that you have in Jefferson. He lit the Falcons up. He lit the Falcons up big time. And they're playing good ball. I expect them to carry on. And that North division has 3 teams that are solid in that division. I thought it was going to be the East that would be better. I thought the Cowboys would be better. Not much better, but enough to possibly talk about them, a third team being in the playoffs from the East. But that will not be happening. When you look at the guys in the hunt over here, I'm not a firm believer in the Baltimore Ravens. There are a lot of inconsistencies, and I know a lot of people are blaming Lamar, but that defense, man, not good. They have not been good when needed, and the games they have lost have been on the defense and the secondary. I do believe, though, they are missing Patrick Queen like nobody's business. That guy was just all over the field for them the year before, and this year, not so much. The linebacking core is not very consistent, but again, the back half of that defense is about like how the Falcons' back half of the defense is playing. Very sporadic, not very good in that department, and that's not going to work when you're talking about going up against the likes of the Steelers, who are a hard-nosed football team, going to grind it out, and they're going to find ways to win. They're going to battle you for 60 minutes. The guys at the top, Bills, Chiefs, can't beat the Bills with the way they've been playing. And it's sad because offensively, they are doing enough. They need some stops, though. And they can't bail the defense out every week. It's difficult to do, difficult for any team. The surprise, though, are both the Chargers and the Denver Broncos with Bo Nix, the rookie. Says a lot about Sean Payton. I think we all know how great Sean Payton is as being a quarterback whisperer. I thought he got a decent guy in Bo Nix. I didn't think he would be this far along, to be honest. I do believe he was better than Drake May, though. And he's showing that. Playing quite well for a rookie. And they find themselves fighting for a playoff spot. Likely will get that playoff spot there in that 7th spot. And the Chargers are doing this all on defense. Had a little offense earlier in the season. They really don't have anything at the wide receiver position consistently outside of Lad McConkey. Losing J.K. Dobbins was tough, and it's showing. You see the young man Virgil, the rookie, number 30, stepped up in this Chiefs game. Just wasn't enough. Didn't get enough offense going early. But I do find them being in the playoffs. They'll probably be bounced first round, though. I'm going to talk about the Eagles here, and I do believe the Eagles are fraudulent. They have feasted on some of the same schedules that the Commanders and other division. I'll say the Commanders because in that division, it's only those two guys have had. They feasted on those, and they've kind of let people hang around for 3 quarters. And then after the defense of the opposing team has been out there because the offense continues to go 3 and out, they unleash Saquon Barkley in the 4th quarter, and they bludgeon you into oblivion, and they find a way to win. I don't think they're that good, though. Their 4-game stretch, they're going to have to battle the Steelers coming up next, and I think that's going to be a real test for that football team. That defense of the Steelers going to be tough for Jalen Hurts, who can be rattled, can be thrown off, and we've seen that a lot in his career and during this season. Going to be important to bottle up Saquon Barkley for 4 quarters. What the Steelers need to do, give their defense some help, take some time off the clock, hold the ball, don't have a bunch of 3 and outs going, especially in the second half. If you don't have any offensive rhythm and this game is close, the Eagles will find a way to win like they have all season long. But I don't believe that they are a team that would get out after in their playoff game. If they face the right team that's coming in hot, I think they're going to have a problem. I'm not a believer. Sorry. Maybe they'll prove me wrong, but they have the Steelers next, Commanders after that, and then they got 2 Huckleberries and the Cowboys and the Giants. So their next 2 games are the toughest. Outside of that, bunch of Huckleberries. So I'm not really sure what we're going to get from them. Seahawks, though, I think are a sleeper team in all of this in the NFC. They run the ball well. I don't think anybody wants to have to go to Seattle to play a game. I know as covering the Commanders, I dreaded that going to Seattle. They just, not just because of the crowd, but they just seem to play well at home. Always do. And that is a tough place to play in. I think it's best if they can be got on the road. Let's see what the comment section has here before we get out of here. Memphis Lion says, I realize old news, not now, but I didn't see Bobby B in the chat. So congratulations, Bobby, on your anniversary with Competition Plus. Yes, big deal, man. It's hard to be in a business for 25 years, especially in this business of sports media and drag racing on top of that. So this will be his 200th episode of the Power Hour. So come on over, check us out there at the Power Hour. We're going to have Antron Brown, and we're going to have the all famous, the man who kind of put drag racing podcasting on the map, Mr. Joe Costello. We're going to talk about Project Pontiac, and there's no telling where it can go from there. Scott says you don't like to see teammates having issues even when they win. That's not good. You're right. It's not. And I think that is going to be a deciding factor for them as well, as we're hearing about these different issues in the locker room with the Philadelphia Eagles. it's all about unity. And the Commanders are living proof of that. They do not have the best roster at all by any means, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Front seven, linebackers, I think, are studs. Front seven, they're lunch pail guys. Not stars, but lunch pail guys. And I like lunch pail guys because they come to work, they bring their hard hat, and they grind, and they work hard. Back half, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, looking at the stats here, believe it or not, the Washington Commanders defense, passing defense, is ranked 5th. And they've got a bunch of Jimmys and Joes at cornerback. So just imagine how much better it's going to get when they get Marshawn Lattimore out there, who will be out there against the New Orleans Saints. Surprise. In the Caesar Dome there, going back to New Orleans to make a statement. And the New Orleans are kind of limping into this game. No Derek Carr, fractured hand, could be out for the rest of the year. They're going to be Spencer Rattler. It's going to take over. I think that's a tough job. They didn't look so well against the Giants. And this is a hot Commanders team who's going to be a little bit more healthy after getting a much-needed bye week that they come up with. So, but again, a team that doesn't have a lot of talent. It's not talent-laden, but it's a bunch of hard workers, and you have to give a lot of credit to Dan Campbell and his staff. I mean, Dan Campbell. Dan Quinn and his staff for doing an excellent job of rallying these troops, getting them to believe. One band, one sound, and you're seeing that transform right on the football field. They had a rough patch there, but they seem to be coming out of that rough patch, and they're looking to make a run. To try to get 11 wins, and it'll be the first time, I believe, since 1991. And we all know what happened in 1991. Super Bowl, Mark Rippon. So before we get out of here, I will give you guys the Week 15 playoff scenarios, and we'll start with the AFC. Your clinchers are the Buffalo Bills, 10-3, AFC East. Kansas City Chiefs, 12-1, AFC West. Those are your clinchers. Houston versus Miami. That will be Sunday at 1 o'clock. They have something on the line. Houston will clinch the AFC South division title with a win or an Indianapolis loss. Just that simple. So basically, go out, win. They win the AFC South. Pittsburgh and Philly. A lot on the line here. Philly wants to keep things going. It'll be 4:25 on Fox. They can clinch a playoff berth by winning or tying, or Miami losing or tying, or plus Indy losing or tying. The key here is just don't depend on anybody else. Go out there, take care of your job, and you'll be in the playoffs for certain. Week 15 playoff scenarios for your NFC is Detroit are clinched. Philly is also clinched. Green Bay Packers and Seattle Seahawks, 8:25. It will be your Sunday night football game. Should be a good one. Green Bay can clinch a playoff berth with a win, plus an Atlanta loss or tie, plus a San Francisco Los Angeles Rams tie. Very tough. That's probably likely could happen. That's a lot that's got to go down. It's a lot that's got to go down. Minnesota Bears, Monday Night Football. It's probably going to be lopsided. Minnesota can clinch a playoff berth with a win or tie, a Los Angeles Rams loss or tie, a Seahawks loss or tie. So they don't necessarily have to win to clinch a playoff berth. Philadelphia can clinch the NFC East title by a win and a Washington loss or tie, or by it's a win plus a Washington loss or tie. Philly tie, Washington lose. Ties are hard to do in this league. So I don't see Washington losing this week, so the NFC East will still be up for grabs for another week at least. So that is your playoff Week 15 scenarios. Stay tuned to my Twitter and the NotBland Show Facebook channel as we will put out some fun facts that we're lucky to have as these games go on. I did not put out any for this past Week 14. I probably will do that through the week, though. Throw some out there that I find quite interesting that happen as far as stats around the league. Again, thank you so much for hanging in there. It was great to see you in the comments. I hope everything is well. We have been praying for you guys and your family, and I hope that everything is going well with you and your family. Thank you, and nice to have you back here. We missed you too. Thank everyone, whether you're in the background lurking and watching, or you're here and we see you. I appreciate that. All who watch this back live, thank you. Watch this back out of the rerun, sorry. Thank you. It's greatly appreciated. The growth that we're trying to make happen here in 2025 is also going to be with your help. So you guys are great. Really appreciate it. Thanks Sports Journey for all that they do for us. And we're going to keep cranking out product, man. You can find all the NFC South coverage. Just put up Tampa Bay Bucks, article, video article on sportsjourney.com. So go check that out. Again, for Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, our sponsor, thank you for everything Nitro. This has been the NotBland Show. I will see you guys again next Tuesday. And next Tuesday, we're going to talk a little football, and we're going to have a special show, a drag racing show, where we kind of did what we did with the Top Fuel stuff and do some what ifs again. Thank you guys, and good night.